Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for March 22, 2024. Well, that's at 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We have a special guest tonight on the Reverse Aging Health Call. We're gonna address what's causing us to deteriorate so rapidly in our bodies, and we're going to talk about the solution for it. Everything that any of us do in this life, in every moment, we have the golden opportunity to choose. We'll always have a choice. Now, a lot of us, we will unconsciously choose. Okay, it's like knee-jerk reaction. And we say to ourselves in a lot of cases, why did I decide to do this? If it doesn't go the way you would like it. And we hold on to this life, really. I mean, we hold on, what is it, like you hold on to it for dear life, this life? Too tight. Way too tight. We immediately make a more intimate space for a closer relationship with the divine healing intelligence that abides behind everything. So all of our overly fearful, doubtful, and protective feelings instantly fade away when we are trusting that a divine intelligence is always present in our lives. A softness blossoms inside of us, and we regain our natural ability to relax fully into our body and can start enjoying every detail about our present, past, and future. Obviously, it involves deep trust. With deep trust, we can evolve as spiritual beings. What happens when we don't have that trust, or it's fractured or fragmented? Well, we will not evolve as spiritual beings. And without it, we are lost. Without this trust, this deep trust, we can ascend to the point where we are trusting that every experience that this life brings us is absolutely divine and perfect. Even if an experience may be painful, the greater, deep, eternal loving is known and felt hidden inside. A trusting heart can quietly realize how a fear is our greatest teacher, always invoking a higher state of spiritual awareness into our future, so that we stop pretending to be these small, powerless, ego-driven beings and start living that truly amazing life we so love. And when we choose, right, to worship our spiritual nature, over our ego, it's about a deep devotion to our real selves and being truly dedicated to filling up our precious time on this planet with more relaxation, appreciation, and joy instead of ego-driven anxieties, demands, and tension. With trust as our deepest guide, we can pierce through the ego's veil of ignorance and perceive those life-challenging people and situations with the utmost patience and appreciation. Now, having no resistance to fear, we flow with the Great Spirit of life and know everything works itself out karmically in the very end. Now, this is a different level of trust than most people even visit. This level of trust instills such a fresh, enlightening perspective about this life, which instantly liberates the mind from all negative thinking. With this kind of trust in charge, when we hit an emotional wall of resistance or fear, we open up to it instead of shut down even further. We feel into the wall, knowing there is always a bigger spiritual lesson behind it to be learned, and looking forward to finding out what it is. This approach is what allows for a deeper state of peace to make its home inside our heart and soul. Trust this, now there's different kinds of trust, okay? Just like different kinds of love. And they're all kind of like subsidiaries of the main center. And that's the love and the trust. And trust is such a powerful force that it can turn the most ordinary life instantly into an extremely rich spiritual experience or adventure. With this kind of trust, we feel safe and connected with everyone we meet, and naturally are overflowing with an effervescent joy and zest in all directions. We tend to respond to others with what? Compassion instead of criticism, curiosity instead of impatience, and understanding instead of judgment. Every moment of this life becomes a new doorway that opens up to the highest and deepest aspects of our being. When we become more aware how this kind of trust is a choice, we discover our power to either expand or contract our experience of this life in each moment. Kind of like, withdraw and shrivel or flourish and expand. This power enables us to become the spiritual masters of our destiny. We no longer fear this life, yet embrace it all. As we gain more trusting momentum, we are able to remain only in the trust vibration for longer periods of time. We also understand how to skyrocket our consciousness in a matter of minutes and eventually catapult our lives into the fifth dimensional realm of the divine. Trust is the magical gateway to our true, unlimited nature as it transcends the ego and opens the door to our most enlightened state of consciousness. Quote from Ramana, "The self is like the screen of the world, which is like the picture and the pictures on it. You can see the picture only so long as there is a screen. But when the seer himself becomes the screen, only the self remains." We all experience, we understand that these bodies are highly emotional, aren't they? They are. So figure that one, we have these really heavy-duty emotional bodies. And we have this thing we call fear, which has been dominating our lives. That's true. And some of us say, well, you know what? I'm going to retreat. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to forgive myself, free the others, and release whatever has happened in my past. And you see, we can all do that. Nothing outside of you is going to do that or force you to do it. You determine whether or not you will. And I think all of us would agree it is not worth it to hang on to any low vibration for another day. We choose to trust that all the trauma we've received in this life was given by what? God, to wake us up from this deep, sleepy dream. So the gods within us, the pure consciousness, are what is waking us up. And that sounds a little strange, people. That's exactly what's happening. The gods that we are waking us up from this deep, sleepy dream. Not outside of us, okay? Not that. That's the old way. And in a way, we are all asleep, and everyone has been caught in some dramatic, perpetually self-wounding victim spin cycle. Taught never to trust in this life. Taught that way, never to trust, don't trust this life, ourselves or anyone else again. Just let it go and remember, you are still lovable, worthy, and totally amazing, exactly as you are. This is kind of like our perpetual education, experience, adventure in spiritual growth and radical enlightened maturity. It's what we're doing. We all, again, our diversity, we do so many things differently than, say, someone next to you. Whatever our past life circumstances were, right, might have been, we are always given the choice how we wish to respond to them now. Every time we choose this one trust that I'm talking about, When we choose that over fear, everyone's heart opens a bit wider. You ever been fearing something, right? It's on your mind, it's in your gut, and, it's there. And then, when you finally take a look at it and it disappears, how do you feel? Feels great, doesn't it? For that, there's a little window there, see, that we experience, and it's great. I let that go. It's gone. And then that window, because why does it close? Why does the window close? Because the ego mind kicks in, and it brings in something else. Isn't that crazy? Brings in something else. So what are we doing? Now we're on to that. We feel a more gentle, healing heart, warming energy coming in. And this warm, trusting heart is needed in this life. For the divine, intelligent universe is always testing our level of awareness, checking in to see how awake we truly are. The test is always the same. How will we choose to respond? With more trust or more fear? It might throw us a bag of super sour lemons just to see if we know how to add some playful, creative sweetness and make a pitcher of lemonade. There's a quote from Vedic sage. To not value the gift of a human incarnation is like trading a diamond for a head of cabbage. This is why you'll see fear and trust grouped together. And people would believe that, what's the opposite of fear? Love? No. What is it? Trust. Now, when we decide to live a life of trust, we will naturally start falling in love with everything and everyone, period. With 100% trust, we become a love-aholic of life, feeling naturally orgasmic about this precious opportunity we have to live, feeling completely turned on by this chance to find our spiritual path and connection. The expansive feeling in the heart can become so divinely open that every breath feels as though we are making love with the divine. You ask yourself, are you ready? Of choosing a life devoted to always responding with trust? The spiritual power that we all receive from the trust vibration is simply awesome. Total trust effortlessly engulfs all kinds of egoic negativity that may try to dominate any room. When a person who has 100% unshakable trust enters any community, it's so penetrating Now, the spiritual power we receive from this trust vibration is simply awesome. It is so penetrating and contagious that everyone's ego eventually falls into either embarrassment or humility. When this group of people all simultaneously begin choosing trust over fear, we can feel this giddy, enlightening joy exponentially expanding through everyone's lives. This group energy becomes more relaxed and at ease with their life, their future, and everything as it is. To live a life flowing with this trust, it's important to understand that fear is not a bad thing. It's just not something we want behind. We want behind making any of your decisions. Now, it's almost like the thoughts are there to wake us up to invite in our biggest self, as they are simply small, contracted truths about reality. It's no different than little tiny grains of sand that can be meaningless and inconsequential unless one of them gets stuck in your eye. Isn't it amazing how something so small can create such a huge pain? How do you know, without a doubt at all, how do you know that we are living from our ego? How do we know? Because you're walking the path of fear. Because the ego is always feeling either superior or inferior. We become very controlling and judgmental. Living in ego, we become narrow-minded and completely unaware that we are abiding in a very small, limiting truth. We know we are living from ego because we feel constantly unsatisfied, perpetually searching for the next fantastic thing or new pleasure to escape into. And these egos that we have, right? They do not know what inner peace is. It is untrusting of new things, sticking only to what is comfortable, and often feels caught in needing to protect itself from our emotions and feelings. The ego is always new, it has always new ways to hide or shine, because it does not trust our inner light will always be there to guide us through the darkness. It doesn't believe that. How do you evaporate the ego? When there is no desire to dominate, no desire to cling, no desire to possess, the ego starts evaporating. Okay. And in order for us to always choose trust over fear, we need to take a more sensitive approach to feeling into ourselves. So we can see when we are in a state of trust or fear. We can check in any moment of our day. What is going on in the area around your heart and chest? If it feels expansive and light, you're in a state of trust. If it's tight and heavy, you're holding on to fear. The general feeling you carry in your chest is your trust barometer. To see what types of choices you're making every day. When we are living each day of our lives in fear, we tend to want to control everything and force our way through this life. We tend to live in this hurry-it-up mode, rushing through each sacred experience, missing out on the small, precious moments. And this is where it could have felt as heavenly angels were present. When trust does not become a natural response to this life, we become afraid to make decisions. We stop taking risks. We feel stuck in some weird emotional prison and perpetually unhappy for no reason at all. And when fear is more important than trust, we feel like a failure in this life. Instead of simply removing the small speck of sand from your own eye, we spend our time trying to change ourselves, others, and the outer world. Once we discover how to trust in the experience of trust, and when trust does not become a natural response to this life, we become afraid to make decisions. We stop taking risks. We feel stuck in some weird emotional prison and perpetually unhappy for no reason at all. One might say, so how do I liberate myself from a fearful state? Well, it's like, we all have choice, right? Do you choose to welcome all your fears with 100% trust and remember everything is perfect exactly as it is? This universe never, ever, ever, ever makes mistakes. We choose to accept every pile of manure as a message that we need more fertilizer. Now, if your life or mind becomes too overwhelming or challenging, simply refocus your awareness back on the biggest feeling of trust that you can remember. Dwell only on that trusting feeling, only that one, for 1 to 2 hours, and give yourself permission to stop dwelling on what you fear. So you're just shifting. You're choosing to say, I'm going to go over here. And in a very short period of time, you can find the spiritual light start seeping back into your very soul again. There is this amazing, infinite universe which is all around us. Outer space extends far beyond what we can see with any high-tech cosmic telescope, which can view star systems 13 billion light years away. This incredible universe is also a living, breathing experience that extends infinitely within us. It continues deeper beyond the atomic quantum particles. Inside our mind, there are memories, really piled upon memories, and beliefs within beliefs, all stacked to infinity. For every new thought that is forming right now, right in this now moment, there are a dozen new thoughts soon to follow. Like, just sit down on some lazy Sunday afternoon to spiritually investigate who you really are. And you'll find you can ascend and descend forever within the deepest realms of your very soul. Now, once you investigate who you really are, and you'll find you can ascend and descend forever within the deepest realms of your very soul, what you may find most fascinating inside of this infinite mystery is in the relationship that's manifesting between our inner world and the outer universe. Behaves something like a perpetual reflection in a mirror. Whatever is happening within our inner world is attracting, magnetizing, and manifesting what we are experiencing in our outer world. For example, we've all experienced this. If I'm in a good mood today, all I see are happy, smiling faces wherever I go. And then amazing opportunities seem to effortlessly float my way. Then, of course, if I fall down in an emotional dumpster, the face of every person has nothing but gloom and doom smeared all over it. And it feels like my entire life is about to collapse. So this law of attraction is unavoidable. Whatever we are feeling and feeding into emotionally on the inside is somehow always materializing whatever we see, experience, and physically attract in our outer world. Another example of how this infinite reflection is showing up in our lives is how it manifests in our relationship with others. The most love, compassion, and acceptance we have for ourselves, the easier it is to have compassion, love, and acceptance for others. Or it's always that one thing which we absolutely dislike and cannot stand about the other, which is reflecting some part inside ourselves that we don't care to own or accept. This is so different, if you're upset with your neighbor for being too dominating, controlling, and aggressive instead of having compassion with him, then when you take a closer look inside yourself, you will see how you're not okay with those parts of yourself, and that feel too dominating, controlling, and aggressive, it's all a deep and yet transparent mirror. Always remember that our inner world is an extension of our outer universe. And the outer world is an extension of our inner universe. This means that this life extends into infinity in every direction and dimension. Our inner and outer universes are never separate. Even though our physical body appears to be a completely isolated entity, it is not. We live in one sacred golden ocean of energy. There simply is just one universe that extends for infinity into the other realms in all directions and inner dimensions. In other words, universe upon universe upon universe, connecting, connecting, connecting. You contain the wet and salty qualities of the entire ocean, and yet are just a single drop in it. The oceanic waves are always moving you and flowing through you as you. Now, the essential problem that you may find most people are having with this life is that they are not reaching deep enough inside themselves to reconnect with their actual living, breathing, infinite spiritual essence. Our spiritual nature is a real thing. It is our most basic reality. It is what keeps our hearts beating, our breath breathing, and our life force moving through us in every moment of existence. We don't have to breathe. Our body does it for us. The same is with your spiritual essence. It is living and creating through your physical body, unfolding its essential karmic programming within this great cosmic playground. It's good to know that suffering happens only when the mind gets in the way. That's for all of us. That's the only time suffering happens. And when we become overly focused on thoughts and material things that make us feel limited or time-bound, we start believing we only have limited options, which the opposite is true. The realm of the infinite fades into the background of the finite. And we start thinking everyone is living in a very small, contracted world. When we only focus on our needs, we forget how to connect with the soul of others. If we are always thinking about money and more material possessions, we cannot see or feel the infinite reality that is beneath it all. What are most people, the majority of this rat race, are what? Trapped in thinking about time-bound appointments, which causes consciousness to squeeze itself into a tiny temporal box or boxes. Let's say at precisely 4:30 p.m. Now, with this that's a deadline. Okay? That's a deadline. And with this deadline coming, we just don't have time to feel what eternity is like. When we only live in a limited tick-tock 24-hour clock world that is consumed with resources around money and material items, we instantly start feeling disconnected from the infinite eternal beings we actually are. This addictive dwelling of the mind on what is not infinite or eternal is what makes us feel spiritually disconnected from every living being on the planet today. Why are we in these bodies? Well, we're all born with a limited time-bound physical body so that we could acquire a contrasting perspective and experience ourselves as the infinite, eternal beings we actually are. And we have the capability to create, manifest, and experience anything we desire. We are all the children of a great universal consciousness, which some call God, that is impregnated with unlimited potentiality. If all this talk about the infinite, now if all this talk about the infinite is expanding your mind too much to handle today, just remember that your inner world is always impacting and manifesting something in your outer world. Now, every single thought, every thought that we believe to be true is what is creating our reality in this very now moment. Now, your thoughts are always flowing through you, and they're always creating everything in your life. You will become whatever you think in the future. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. So be aware of your innermost thoughts, and yet somehow remain non-attached. Your thoughts are not who you truly are. You are an eternal, infinite consciousness who is beyond form and time. You are pure awarenessness reflecting back on itself in this physical universal space and time. Let go of thoughts that were cycling in your mind yesterday and ideas about the way life should turn out for you tomorrow. Be here now. Now is the moment of power. Now is where enlightenment is discovered. For physically, you are forever forced to exist in this present moment. Your present awareness is always being generated from this present moment. Know this and live and breathe within this knowing. If you want, right, you want your life to be smoother, fuller, and more in touch with utter bliss, get in touch with your eternal essence. Let go of any limiting thoughts that you have and drop into the knowingness that you are an infinite soul who will never die. Now, if you crave for some secure life that is easy and light, give that experience to yourself on the inner world within first. Find out how to soothe yourself emotionally, giving deep, robust, tingling sensations to every corner of your body, mind, and spirit. The great experience of divinity is always available and ready to take you into the higher dimensions. Your greatest life is ready for you here, now. So open yourself up. Welcome it in. You will find the infinite within the finite. Trust the process. Breathe it in and enjoy every breath you are given. And a quote from Buddha, meditation is a listening with a receptive heart. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take a slow, deep breath in through the nose. And a slow, deep breath out from the mouth. Remain still. Spend some time with the birds and the trees. Listen to what their deeper message is. Walk with nature. Let your senses come alive. Be fed by the beauty around you. And the grass should be getting green by now. Touch the soft green grass and let it touch you. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night and the following morning. And we will return here tonight, Friday, March 22nd, 2024, to continue our Reverse Aging Health Call, which we're going to share with you why your body is doing what it's doing as far as the aging process. We will return here Saturday, March 23, 2024 as well, around 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest, high, deepest of the deepest, deepest, and purest of the purest, purest, eternal gratitude at all times. No matter what's going on around you or within you.